Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Joffrey Noodle Legs here today. I've got a bit of a different one for you today. It's not spider related. It's just about another interest of mine. I have lots of interests, not just spiders. But another big hobby of mine is horror movies. I absolutely love horror movies. I like pretty much every genre of horror movie. And I like every era of horror movie, right back from the Universal monster movies to the Hammer films, right through to the modern day sort of films. I don't think today's films are as good as the 1970s or 1980s period of horror films, but those two decades were, to me, the pinnacle of horror movies time. I just think all the best movies were made then. Anyway, what I'm going to do today is just go through 10 of my favourite franchises, because a lot of horror film turned into franchises. And what I mean by that, I mean they sort of spawned off an endless stream of sequels. Not all of them, some of them only had two or three, but some of them had like about 10 sort of sequels, and I love all of them. Some of them are really tacky, but sometimes the tackiness is the charm of the film, and that is what attracts me to it. I find them the poor acting or the whatever it is just draws me in, and there's some sort of great quotes out there from it. Anyway, what I thought to do today is go through 10 of my favourite franchises. Now, this is not all of them, because I have loads of favourite franchises. Some I'm not going to, I'm going to forget, because I will, because so many. But there's films like the Saw series I absolutely love. It's just so many great franchises, but I just couldn't fit them all into my top sort of 10 favourite ones. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street is really good, but it's not in my top 10. I mean, I like the first film and a couple of others, but there's some of them now I just don't like, so they just weren't for me. So I'm going to go through 10, but there's two honourable mentions I'm going to go through first that are not in there. Children of the Corn. This is the first three. After the first three, they really went downhill quick. But the first three films were excellent. I really like them. And they're based on a Stephen King book. So Children of the Corn gets an honourable mention. This one should have been in there. It's obviously The Evil Dead. I've got 1 and 2 here. Number 3 is downstairs in the player because I was watching it last night. So Evil Dead. Now the reason why I've not put these are probably some of my favourite films of all time, but they're not in the franchise because I'll speak about these in another video. If you like this sort of thing, leave a comment down below and I'll do some more, because I want to do one on video nasties, one on slasher films, one on 80s films, one on 70s. Let's see how it all goes and see what you think. There's some honourable mentions that I absolutely love. This is my top 10. Some of these you might not even class as horror film, but they kind of are. You'll see which ones they are. But we're going to start off at number 10. And that's the Hellraiser series. Again, the first three films were fantastic, and they sort of took a dive. Look at Sullivan behind me there. They sort of took a dive after the first three. Absolutely loved the first three. There's about 6 or 7 of them in the series now, but the first three are brilliant. That's Hellraiser. Clive Barker. They're based on a lot of Clive Barker's sort of. He does like comic books and books. He's done lots of sort of really wacky out there kind of horror, and that is kind of out there. It's really good. We've got a slasher series at number 9. The Scream. Now there's 5 of these. This is the top. This is 3 of them. Again, I've got the other 2 downstairs. I've been going through watching them lately because the new one just came out. So there's Scream 4 and there's the new Scream, which are both downstairs. I do have the complete set. Really good series, great cast, sort of got a bit of comedy sort of to it, but it's still a really good series, quite gory. It's Ghostface. I've got Ghostface tattooed on my arm, just there. So yeah, Ghostface in the Scream films, absolutely amazing. Really worth checking out. This one you probably might not think it's a horror film, but I look at it as a horror film. But it's the Predator series. It's it could be classed as sci-fi, or science fiction horror, I suppose. But yeah, I class them as horror because they've got all the elements of horror, stalking, gore, monster. You know, it's a great series, really good. The second film is the only one that's a little bit iffy, but it's got its moments. I do like the second one. Danny Glover's in that, and he plays really well. So that's number. So how far we got? 1, 2, 3. So that was number 7, I believe. Okay, number 6. Child Play. What a cool box that is, isn't it? This is another big series. This is there's 7 movies in here. I believe they have done another sort of reboot, and there's also a TV series now of it. But this has got all 7 movies. I actually like all of them. I think they're all really cool. My favourites are definitely the first one and the Bride of Chucky. Really like the Bride of Chucky. So that's my 7th favourite franchise in the horror. Number 6, a bit more modern, this one, and it's the Paranormal Activity. Really love these films. There's how many films are there? Look, there we go. Look. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there's 6 movies in that franchise, and they're scary. They're probably the scariest of the films in this one because they're quite realistic. They're sort of kind of filmed on like that they're actually happening, and it's filmed on like people's like home CCTV and camcorders. Really good series. That's the Paranormal Activity. Don't be fooled by the wishy-washy TV shows you got out there. Watch these. They are really scary films. Really cool, really realistic. Not gory as such. There is some gore in it, but there's not a lot. Gore's not everything, but I will do a gore top 10 if you like at some stage of the goriest top 10 films. Put any suggestions down below in my chat if you want me to do any, but try and make them horror because that's mostly what I've got. So we're going to enter the top 5. Number 5 is a classic, The Omen. This is the Omen trilogy. There was another one, like a reboot. That was okay, but this is fantastic. Made in the 1970s and 80s. Great cast. You've got some great cast in here. Gregory Peck's in this. Obviously Sam Neill. There's some great great characters and awesome story. Absolutely scary. So I'm going to give another shout out because it's not in here. And that's obviously The Exorcist. That's another great series. But the reason why it's not in here because they're not all good. There's about 2 or 3 of them that are really good. And there's about 2 or 3 of them that are not very good. But all 3 of those are fantastic. So that's my 5th favourite franchise, The Omen. Okay, number 4, my 4th favourite is George Romero's Dead films. You've got Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, got Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead, and I believe they've done Diary of the Dead, which I've got in my collection. I just couldn't put my hand in it because I don't really do alphabetical order. That's how, you know, I'm disorganised, right? So I don't do, I'm just trying to see if I can see it. I don't do alphabetical order, so it takes me a little while to sort it out. Yeah, what a franchise. George Romero, he's cornered the market of the zombie films. They're absolutely fantastic films. He's no longer with us, sadly, but he's left us a history of films, and that is my favourite zombie film of all time, Day of the Dead. I went to see it at the cinema when it came out in Stevenage, and there was one scene, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's one scene in the film where he one of the zombies stands up from the table and all his insides sort of fall onto the floor. I actually went out and was sick in the toilet. I know, what a wuss, but I was sick. Yeah, no one saw me because I was with some friends, but yeah, I found that was the first time I really got sick with any sort of gore, and I've not been sick that often with it because now I love it. But yeah, but that is my favourite. Great cast, great storyline. I mean, the others are fantastic. Obviously, that's most people's favourite, is Dawn of the Dead, the 1970s film based in the supermarket. There was a remake of this. Didn't like it. It was more like a comedy. This is fantastic. The original 1970s film, and obviously this was the one that started it all. Night of the Living Dead, black and white, but still hard hitting film. Really, really good. There was sort of, that's more sort of semi-documentary sort of way of making it, and so was that's what's great about these. This was a bit more normal zombie film. It wasn't as hard hitting as the others, but it's of its time because this was made a lot later than these, and obviously people's taste in films change, and obviously the filmmakers do try and make their films that are more orientated towards the people that are watching them now, because a lot of them they wouldn't bother watching if they were slow, or you know, so they tried to, I think George Romero had a good vision of that. He knew what people wanted to see. Number 3, Michael Myers and the Halloween franchise. There's a lot more than this. I have the new modern ones and the original one on 4K. And there's obviously there's one or so not in this box set. But I've just shown you the box set because there's so many films of this franchise. There's been remakes by Rob Zombie, which to be honest were okay. I thought for remakes they're okay. I'm not a fan of remakes. I don't think there's a need for them. These were made and they are historical of that period, and trying to recreate that isn't always the way forward. And I'm not into remakes, but that weren't too bad, to be honest. Halloween, fantastic story. Michael Myers, again, I've got on my arm, there we go, I've got Michael Myers there, and just underneath is Night of the Living Dead. I don't know if there's a picture of her on the cover. Probably not. But yeah, Night of the Living Dead. So yes, as you can see, that's why my tattoos are quite horror based. Massive fan. Liked them since my childhood, you know. Before I liked spiders. Music and horror films was my thing when I was young. We're getting to the nitty gritty now. Number 2, my favourite, although this series does contain my favourite film of all time, it is not my favourite franchise. It's the Alien series. Now, Alien is my favourite film of all time. Oops, excuse me. Obviously, there's Prometheus, there's Alien Covenant, which are the two more modern Alien part of the franchise. This is just the 4K version of the original Alien, and this one has all the others in there. Aliens, Alien 3 and Alien 4. Fantastic films. There's only one I'm not particularly fond of, and that's Aliens, the second one. Not because it's a bad film, I just don't think it fits in with this film, because that was more like a 1980s action flick, like Predator, really. It was an action flick, whereas all the rest are science fiction, survival horror. Alien is my favourite film of all time. Ridley Scott directed that. Fantastic film, fantastic cast. Contains obviously the late great John Hurt. What an amazing film. What an amazing franchise. But it's not my number one. I do have an alien tattoo. I can't show you that one because it's on my leg. And without taking my clothes and trousers off, I'm not showing you. So, my number one franchise. Can only leave one, can't it, really? Friday the 13th. Jason Voorhees. Now, I know they're tacky. I know they're of their time. They're the 80s slasher time. But aren't they fantastic? Such good movies. I just love them. I love them for their cheesiness. It's that sort of charm that I was telling you about. Poor script, but great films. Great premise, you know, kids at a camp getting stalked. So then they'll make another one and then another one. And Jason dies and he'll come back. But it's just so cool. I just love Jason Voorhees. I just love the whole franchise. Again, I've got Jason tattooed there, but I've also got a massive tattoo of him on my back. This is my favourite franchise. My favourite one of them, my favourite are probably part 2 and part 4. Yeah, the final, it's called the final cut. I believe it was going to be the last one, but then obviously they went on to make loads more, including Jason X, which is obviously the 10th one. You have Freddy versus Jason. You've had the reboots of them. But yeah, what an amazing franchise. In the last sort of few films, Jason was played by Kane Hodder, who's a great sort of monster. He's stars in another franchise called Hatchet, which if I do a gore one, I'll include that in that. He always plays like they've been. But I met Kane a few years back in London, and he signed a photograph for me, which is on my wall. I might try and show you it at the end of the video. I'll put it on at the end for you. And he called, you know, he said to me, "What was your name?" I said, "Joff." "What?" I said, "Joff." "Joff? Joff? Jeff? No, Joff." I said, "John." I said, "Just call me John." Okay. Anyway, he was such a nice guy, and I chatted him for a little while. And he signed a photograph to me, and he wrote on it, "To John, you're next, Kane Hodder, Jason." That was just so cool. That was a really good moment. And I just love that franchise. I've got figurines from it. Obviously, I've got the masks. As you know, one of my spiders has a mask in there as well. I do have a few collectibles from horror films. I've got a Michael Myers mask. I've got a Jigsaw mask. Oh, I'm crazy, right? I'm like a little kid. But it's what I love. I'm an old man, but I still love all this nonsense. What do you think, guys? What do you think about those films? Have you seen any? If you haven't, why not check them out? If you've not seen this and you haven't lived, if you've not seen the Alien films, you've not lived, and the Omen films, you must watch those. They're a lot more sort of serious and more mature sort of film, if you like. But yeah, well, what do you think of that little video, guys? It was a little different. You know, I just wanted to do something different than just spiders, because you get to know me a bit better, what I like. So yeah, I'm not going to do dedications on this one. I will actually, but not my spider ones. I'll do one dedication on it. It's a guy on YouTube I like you to check out called Horror Hands. So that's Horror Hands. Yeah, it's one word, Horror Hands. Check out his channel. He loves horror videos just like myself. But he collects DVDs, VHS, Blu-rays, a lot. I just stick to Blu-rays and 4Ks. I do have some DVDs because a lot of the films I've got are not available on Blu-ray. I'll probably have some of those if I do a video on video nasties. That'll be a cool video. If you're not sure what video nasties are, write down in the comments, say, "Joff, do a video on video nasties," so I can find out what they are. Well, pretty much they were films that were in the 1980s that were banned because they were supposed to be too are violent. A lot of them are very tame now, but a lot of them are very, very disturbing. But we can do a video on those. If you are interested, let me know. Anyway, until next time, guys, look after yourself, look after one another, and I really hope I'll see you all soon.